So this is a troubleshooting PowerPoint presentation. This one deals with video. If there are some issues you're having on your shoot of getting picture or getting power or anything like that, here are some things to look at on the camera. And the camera that we're talking about is the Panasonic DV100B. And this is brought to you by fcpan.org, channel 97 Comcast here in Fort Collins. So if you're not getting power, you're going to want to make sure that the battery's been put in properly, that it is engaged properly by you'll hear a click sound. And the way to do that is to make sure that the top of the battery or the top of the adapter are lined up directly underneath that push button that we see on the right hand side there. And then gently press down and you'll hear it click if it's engaged properly. If it's the continuous power, you know that you have a power source. If it's the battery, you need to check to make sure that the battery has been charged. Make sure the power switch is in the on position. What you have to do is just press that little white button on the right hand side on that switch and press that down and it will engage into the on position, which will then power up the camera. Is the lens cap off? If you're not getting a picture, that's the leading cause for that. So always check that, make sure that you've removed the lens cap, that the camera's on, and you should be getting picture at this point. If you have not, or if you are not, then check the iris wheel to see if it's closed. This would block all light from coming into the camera. So what you'll want to do is just scroll the wheel up a little bit and see how the picture adjusts on your display. But when you do this, you're allowing light into the camera and you should be getting a picture. Is the camera in camera mode? As we know, VCR is for playback of any of the clips that we've captured. It acts just as a VCR. The camera mode allows you to take footage, to record things, and then you go to VCR mode for playback. So you need to make sure that it is in camera mode. Otherwise, you would only see a blue screen and you wouldn't see any kind of your environment in front of you or around you through the camera, because if it's in VCR mode, that's playback only. So the picture's too light. If when you're looking inside at either the eyepiece or if you're looking at the display and you notice that everything is very, very light and you need to turn that down, there are a couple ways of doing this. One is if you're outside, you're going to want to push the ND filter up to the 1/8 position or the 1/64. You'll be cutting the amount of light that comes in by an 1/8 or a 64th. And then if you're outside or inside, the way that you'll adjust your light after that is by using the iris wheel to, if it's too light, then turning down the amount of light coming in the camera. But if it's too dark, the same thing, you will use it to turn up the amount of light that is coming in the camera. Gain is only to be used in low light situations. If your picture is too light, what you're going to want to look at is to see if your gain is in the medium or high position. You do not want it there. Make sure that your gain is on low. If you're caught in a situation where the lighting is poor and the only way that you can boost the image or get a picture that seems at least of a higher quality, because you can't bring light into the camera any other way, then I recommend that you use gain. You can add 12 decibels of video just by placing that into the high position, but you also get graininess that you can't remove. Is there a tape in the camera? This is a pretty big one. If you're not able to record, if everyth's powered up, you're getting a light signal, everything else, and you're not able to record, one of the reasons could be that there's no tape in the camera. So make sure the red side down and the wheels are towards the camera. And then one of the big three for the no-nos, just make sure that you lightly press the housing in, allow it to lower on its own, and then you can close the door, but allow it to do its thing first. Did you hit the red record button? That's a pretty big one. It's located right at the power button, and once you hit it, it'll give you a record signal at the top of the display. If you've not hit it, it says standby. Just let you know that it's not recording, but it's ready to record, and that's an important one. White balancing. So as you can see, the two images on the left and right are a little bit different after I white balanced. Make sure that the iris is in manual mode. This is step one. On the picture on the left, you see I'm actually pressing the iris button, and the display is giving me a message that says manual iris. A little hard to read. And then on the right hand side, you see me just pressing the iris button. That's step one. Step two is to have a fellow team member hold the white balance card at the spot of the interview or at the spot of where the shooting's taking place, and then zoom in until the frame is filled just with the card so that the camera knows this is white, this is what white is in this environment, and so it'll calibrate everything accordingly and give your video a much better look. Make sure the white balance switch is not on preset. So you want it on channel A or channel B, it does not matter which one. The reason why it gives you two is so that you can go and do a white balance inside or do a white balance outside, and then move from outside to inside or inside to outside, and just be able to switch them back and forth since they're already dialed in, which is kind of a nice feature. Finally, what we're going to want to do is press the AWB button, and that's at the front of the camera, front left. And once you've done that, when you press it, look at the display and make sure that it tells you that channel A okay or channel B okay. And that'll let you know that the camera is successfully white balanced. And finally, if when you're recording, it's shaky when you're holding it, just using the camera in your hand, what you're going to want to do is make sure that OIS, onboard image stabilization, has been turned on. And the way that you'll know that is, as we see on the bottom picture with a little arrow pointing to it, the shaky hand icon will be on your display, and you'll know that it is on.